Welcome everyone to this course. This course is all about how to create face recognition project using OpenCV along with SQLite database. So this project consists of different kinds of modules. In the first module, we are going to discuss about how to create data set for our face recognition. In the second module, we are going to discuss about how to train this data set. In the last module, we are going to discuss about how to detect and recognize our faces using the trained data set. So this course is very useful for the students who are trying to create the face recognition project for the first time. So that's why I have created this course for training these students. So let's get started. Welcome to the first class. In today's class, we are going to create the project face recognition using SQLite. For that, you have to create a folder for your project and then you have to open the folder with the Python IDE. In the first module, we are going to see about how to create data set for our face recognition using SQLite database. Before running anything, you have to set your Python environment. For that, you have to open the settings. In the settings, you can see the Python interpreter. So you have to change the Python interpreter to 3.7 because mostly the 3.7 is suitable for my project. So we are going to create a new Python file called datasetcreator.py. For our project, we are going to import what are all the packages required for our face recognition project. For that, we are going to import these packages in our project. First, we are going to import the package CV2. So, CV2 is nothing but OpenCV Python. So, on the second, we are going to import the package NumPy. So, import NumPy as NP. So, NumPy is nothing but array. So, we are going to use the NumPy for array. And then we are going to import the third package, that is SQLite 3. So SQLite is for the database. So these three packages must be installed in your Python environment. For that, you have to use the settings. In the settings, you can see the plus icon. In the plus icon, you have to type these packages and install them in your Python IDE. First, we are going to detect the faces. For that, we are going to type this variable face detect equal to CV2, that is the package, and dot, and then we are going to use the cascade classifier. So cascade classifier is nothing but hair cascade classifier for detecting the faces. So in the OpenCV uses the hair cascade classifier to detect the faces. For detecting the faces, you have to download this XML file. So you have to open the Google and then you have to type this, and then you have to type download hair cascade frontal face default.xml. So you have to type this and select download. So you have to open the GitHub file for the XML. So in that you can see the download option is available. Also you can see what are all the XML files available in the GitHub. So we are going to download only the frontal face default XML file. So you have to download this file and open this file. So you have to copy this and then paste this file in your project folder. So we are just copy paste this XML file in our project folder. After that, you have to open the Python IDE. In that, you have to import that file in the cascade classifier. So you have to type this and select the XML file. So that's it. In the first line, we are just detecting the faces using the hair cascade frontal face XML file. So that's the use of this XML file. So it automatically detects what are all the faces detecting in your web camera. After that, we are going to capture our faces in the webcam. For that, you have to type this code. First, we are typing the cam variable. So you have to type cam equal to CV2, that is the package. And then you have to type the function called video capture. So you can see the video capture, and then you have to select that. Inside the bracket, you have to type 0. So 0 is nothing but it is used for the web camera. So web camera, it will be denoted by 0. So that's the use of this code. We are using our web camera to detect our faces. So that's the meaning of the second line. In the first, we are detecting the faces using the hair cascade classifier. In the second, we are using the video capture, that is web camera. After that, we are going to type the code for our SQLite database. For that, we are going to create a function called insert or update. So we are going to insert the values, and also we are going to update our values in our database. So there are many arguments. The first argument will be ID. So that will be the ID for the person, and then name. So there will be the name for the person, and then age. You can also type any number of attributes, whatever you want. But in our project, we are going to use 3 arguments only. The first is the ID, second name, and the third age. After that, we are going to connect our SQLite database. For that, you have to type this code. First, we are using the con variable, that is connection variable. And then you have to type this SQLite 3 for the database dot connect. So you have to type connect off, and then you have to type your database name. For the database, we are going to create a database called SQLite. So you have to open the folder. In that, you have to create a new text file, and then you have to rename the file to your own database name. That will be the database dot and then format. The format will be .db. So db denotes database. So you have to rename that. After that, you can see the database is created. So you have to type that file name in our code for connection. So you have to type database.db for the connection. This line denotes that we are using the SQLite 3 to connect our database. The database name will be database.db. So in our project, we are going to use the databases and also the trained data set to detect our faces, with also their details, that will be the ID, name, age. And then you have to type this command cmd, that will be the variable for the command, and equal to, in the quotation you have to type the SQLite command called select star. We are going to select all the values from, we are going to create a one table in the upcoming class. For that, our table will be the students. So you have to type students and where keyword and the ID. So we are going to type where keyword, and the ID will be our user defined ID. If the user types the ID 1, their details will be displayed. For that only this command shows we are going to select all the details of the students when the ID is the user defined ID. So that will be the explanation for this code. After that, we are going to use the cursor for executing the above command. For that, you have to type cursor variable equal to connect dot execute of the command. The command will be the select star from students where ID equal to user defined ID. So we are using the cursor for executing this command. So that will be the explanation for this code. After that, we are assuming that there will be no record in our table. For that, you have to use this variable is record assist equal to 0. That is, we are assuming that there will be no record in our table. For that, we are assuming that variable equal to 0. If the record does not exist, it will be considered as 0. So that will be the explanation for this code. After that, we are going to type the for loop, and then variable will be row in cursor and the row in cursor. So cursor is nothing but executing the command. Also, we are going to type the variable is record assist equal to 1. So this for loop is nothing but we are checking each and every line whether there are any record or exists in our students table. If the record exists in our student table, it will be considered as 1. If the record does not exist, it will be considered as 0. After that, we are going to update or insert the values in our students table. For that, you have to type this. If the record is exist, we are going to update the values. Else, if the record does not exist, we are going to insert the values. For that, you have to type connect.execute of update students table and then set variable set and the name equal to user defined name, that will be the question mark, and where keyword, and the id equal to and the user defined id, that will be the question mark. The question mark is nothing but user defined id will be given at the time of runtime. After that, you have to type comma and then you have to type the parameters. The parameters will be name and id. So this line is nothing but if the record is exist in our students table, we are updating the name, and also we are going to update what are all the arguments we have created in our functions. So there are 2 arguments we have created, the name and age. If the record is exist, we are going to update the name, and also if the record is exist, we are also going to update the age. So this line shows that we are going to update the students table and set the name equal to user defined and where id will be the user defined. After that, you have to copy this code and paste again, and then you have to rename the name to age. You have to rename the column name to age for updation. If the record exists, we are also updating the names and ages. And also we are changing the parameters to age. So these 2 lines shows that we are updating the values if the record is exist. The record is nothing but there will be any values exist in our students table. After that, else command, if the record does not exist, we are going to insert the values. For that, you have to type connection.execute of insert the execute. You have to type the SQLite command for inserting the values. You have to type insert into students, and then you have to type what are all the columns you want to insert. We are going to insert id, name and ages, and then you have to close the bracket. And then you have to type the variable values, and then you have to open the bracket. Inside the open bracket, you have to type question mark. For question mark is nothing but there will be an user defined values will be given. So we are going to give values, that is the user defined values for the id, name and ages during the runtime. For that only you have to type question mark, and then you have to type what are all the parameters you want to give the values. So the parameter must be same as the function. So this line is nothing but if the record does not exist, we are going to insert the values. What are all the values? The id, name and the ages. After that, we are going to close all the connections created in our SQLite. For that, you have to type connection.commit of. We are going to save all the changes done in our project, and then we are going to close the connection. First, we are committing and then closing the connection. So that's it. In today's class, we have discussed what are all the packages we have to install for our project. The first one is the CV2. The CV2 is for the camera. And the second one is the NumPy. NumPy is for the arrays. And the third one is the SQLite. So SQLite is used for the database. So these 3 packages must be installed. And then in the 6th line, we are going to detect the faces using the hair cascade classifier. and then we are going to use that XML file downloaded in our GitHub. So hair cascade nothing but it detects the faces shown in our web camera. For the web camera, in the 7th line we have used the CV2 package, open the function called video capture of 0. So 0 is nothing but web camera. And then we have created connection for our SQLite database. Our database name is database.db and then arguments like ID, name and ages. And then we are executing the commands using the cursor, and then we are setting the variable is record is equal to 0, and also we are setting the record as exist equal to 1. If the record exists, we are updating the values, and then if the record does not exist, we are inserting the values. At last we are commit and closing our variables. In the upcoming class we are going to continue our project. So let's see you in the next class. Welcome everyone. In last class we have created the SQLite database. In today's we are going to continue our project with the user defined values for our arguments like ID, name and ages. For that we are going to see how to create user defined values for our project. So you have to type ID equal to input of, so the input will be the string and the string will be enter user ID. So we are inserting the values user defined, and then we are going to insert the values for the name. You have to type input of enter user name. Whatever you want you can type. So we are going to type enter username. So we are going to enter the username in the 28th line. After that we are going to insert the values for the ages. That will be the last argument we have created. You have to type age equal to input of. So in the Python you can see it will be automatically changes whatever variable data types. So you don't have to worry about it will be the integer, string or anything. It will be automatically changes whatever you want. So that will be the advantage of the Python. So we are going to insert values for these 3 arguments. The first one will be the ID, and the second one will be the name, and third one will be the age. So these will be the user defined values for our SQLite database. So and then we are going to update this value in our parameter. So you have to type the function name, and then you have to type the arguments you have created. So the arguments will be the ID, name and the age. So insert or update will be our function. So this command will be insert our values in the created function. After that we are going to see about the codings for detecting the faces in the web camera. So this will be the final touch for our dataset creator. So we are going to create a variable called sample number. So sample number is nothing but what are all the data set we have created. So first we are assuming there will be no data set is created. For that we are assuming the variable as 0. And then you have to use the while condition. Inside the while, so inside the while you have to type the boolean function that is true. So after that we are going to create 2 variables called RET and image. So RET comma image. So equal to, so you have to open the camera and then type read off. So we are going to open the camera. So this line states that we are going to open the camera, and then you have to type gray equal to cv2 dot. So cv2 is nothing but open cv python, and then cvt color of. Inside the bracket you have to type your image variable comma cv2 dot color bgr to gray. So this line is nothing but what are all the faces are detected in our web camera. So it will be converted to grayscale images. So that's the use of the OpenCV hair cascade classifier. So it will convert our colorful images to grayscale images for more training and accuracy. For that only we are using the gray color. So that is BGR to gray. In the first line we are reading the camera. In the second line we are converting that images detected in our web camera into the grayscale images. So that is the black and white images. And then we are going to type the faces variable. So we are going to detect the faces. So you have to select that face detect multi-scale of. So we are going to use the scaling for our detecting the faces. So the scale factor will be 1.3 and 1.3 comma 5. So 5 is the minimum neighbors. So we are using the multi-scale for our faces, for our detected faces. So scaling factor automatically changes in the PyCharm IDE. After that, we are going to type the command for loop. In the for loop, we are using 4 variables that will be the x, y, width and height. Width and height will be w and h. And in, you have to type the in keyword and then you have to type faces. What are all the faces detected in that we are going to use the for loop. And then if the face is detected, we are increments the sample number. Before that we assume there will be no sample faces detected. For that only we assume that the sample number will be 0. If the faces are detected and the data set will be created, for that only we are increments the sample number. So we are just increment the sample number if any data set is created. So after that we are going to use the CV2 package. So we are going to use the function that is imWriteOff. Before writing the code, you have to create dataset folder. For that you have to open your project folder and then you have to create a new folder called dataset. If the faces are detected, it will be saved in that folder. So that's why we have created a folder called dataset. After that you are going to type this command. So you have to type bracket. Inside the bracket you have to type the path of the dataset / and then user this. So this will be the format for saving the files in that folder. So user dot string of id. So id will be there, id saved in the SQLite, and then you have to type plus. So in that you have to type dot and then plus and string of sample number. So what will be the sample number of the data set, and then you have to type plus and then you have to type open bracket. In that open bracket you have to type the format of the image. So that is JPG. And then you have to type the what will be the color, that is gray color. So inside the square bracket you have to type y is to y plus h comma x is to x plus w. We are going to add y with the height and then we are going to add x with the width. So this line is nothing but if the faces are detected, we are going to save that faces in our dataset folder with this format. The format will be user dot id dot sample number dot jpg. So jpg will be the format. And then their width and height. So and then also what will be the color, that will be the gray color. That is black and white. So you can also understand when I run this project. After that you have to type cv2 dot rectangle of. So cv2 dot rectangle of image comma inside the open bracket you have to type x and y position and comma x plus width comma y plus height. And then you have to type comma inside the bracket you have to type 0 255 comma and 0 comma 2. So if the faces are detected in our web camera, we are going to create a rectangle to show that this face is detected in our project. So that will be the meaning of this line. We are going to create a rectangle to show what faces are detected in our camera. We can also see in the other projects, the green rectangle is shown in the faces. So that will be the meaning of this code. And then we are going to use the CV2 package wait key of. So wait key is nothing but the time for showing the faces detected in our web camera. Time will be 100 seconds. So 100 seconds the faces will be shown for creating the dataset. So that's the meaning of the wait key command. It also shows the delay time. And then we are going to type cv2.im show off. That will be the image show off. Inside that you have to type whatever you want to show in your output. So we are going to type face comma and then image. So 45 lines is nothing but what will be the title will be shown for our output. And then we are going to type cv2 dot wait key of. Again we are going to use the wait key. So wait key is nothing but delay time. After that we are going to type the if. Inside the if we are going to use the variable sample number. If the samples are greater than 20, we are going to quit or break the loop. So if the data set is more than 20, so if the data set created more than 20, we are going to break the line. So you can also type whatever data set you want to create. So you can also type 30, 40, 50. If you want more data set, you can type any number you want. After that, we are going to release the camera. And then we are going to close the output. For that, you have to type cv2 dot destroy all windows. So for closing the windows of the output. So that's the meaning of these two lines. After the dataset is created, it will be closing the windows. So that's it. In today's class, we have created how to insert the user-defined values in our SQLite database. And then we have seen about how to detect the faces in the web camera. So you can also see the codings like first we are reading the file and then we are converting this image into black and white. And then we are using the scaling function for our faces. And then we are using the for loop for increment the dataset. First we are assume that there will be no dataset is created. If the faces are detected, then the dataset will be created. That's why we are increments the value and then we are saving that files into our dataset folder with this format user.id.samplenumber.jpg. So jpg will be the format. And then we are using the rectangle function to show our faces detected in the web camera. So the color will be green color. That's why 0, 255, 0. That will be the green color. And then we have typed im show to show our faces. After that we are using the if loop. If the dataset is more than 20, we are going to quit the dataset creator. At last, if the dataset is created, we are removing all the windows. So in today's class, we have completed our dataset creator module. In the upcoming class, we are going to see the output of this project. Welcome everyone. In today's class, we are going to discuss about how to run this dataset creator project in our PyCharm IDE. In previous classes, we have coded for our face detection project. Before running our project, we are going to create our SQLite databases because in the previous class, we only create the database we does not create any tables or inserted any values. For that only, first we are going to create the SQLite database. For that we are going to use the online SQLite database. You have to open the Google and type online SQLite database editor. You have to open the first link, that is SQL online. So you have to open that. So in the SQL online compiler, you have to remove all the quotes. You have to open your DB. So you have to open your DB. So our DB will be database.db. So you have to open that. After opening this DB, we are going to create the table called students. So in the SQLite is also same as the Oracle SQL and MySQL. Same code will be used for creating the tables. So you have to type create table and then table name. The table name will be students. So that's the table we have created in our project. So inside the bracket you have to type what are all the arguments we have created. First will be the ID. So ID will be the integer data type. And then we have created name. Name will be varchar data type. So arguments must be same as we have created in our function. After that we have created the last argument, that will be the age. So age is nothing but integer data type. So you have to close the bracket and put semicolon to end the statement. So we are completed to create our students table. You have to run this code for creating the table. So you can see our project is executed, that is our table is created. So we are just selecting what are all the values inserted in our students table. So we are going to run this code. So you can see our code is run but no values are shown because we does not enter any values in our created DB. So you have to save this DB. So you have to copy this DB into your project folder. So you have to copy paste. So this will be the DB used for our project. So you have to open the Python and then you have to rename the DB. In the first we have created the database.db. So that will be not used for our project because we does not create any tables. For that only we are using this created new table. So that's why we are using the new database. So that's it. We have completed how to create dataset creator with the SQLite database. So you have to run this project. You have to right click and run the project. So success. Our dataset creator is executed very successfully. So you have to type your ID. So that will be anything you want, and then name and then age. You have to type enter and you can see your face is detected using our web camera, and also the dataset will be created successfully. So our project is completed 50%. If you want more dataset, you have to rename the 20 to anything you want. So you have to open the dataset folder. In the dataset folder, you can see what are all the images created in our project. So that will be the 21 images created using our OpenCV. So you can also see the color of our image. The color will be the gray color, that is black and white. And also you can see the format of the images. So we are using the dataset folder. Inside the dataset folder, the format of the image will be user. That is user and then dot and then ID of the student. So we have created the ID as 3. So that will be the saved in our format. ID will be 3 and then sample number. The sample number is 6. So in our project there will be 21 samples. So you can see 16, 17, 18, 21 and then last will be .jpg. So JPG will be our image format. So that's the meaning of this line. So now you can understand what will be the meaning of this line. So that's it. We have completed our first module. In our first module, first we are imported all the packages, and then we have used the hair cascade classifier to detect the faces using the web camera, that is 0. And then we have typed the code for our SQLite database. We are insert the values, update the values, and also we are used the user defined values to insert our values into ID, name and ages. At last we have created the code for our detecting the faces in the web camera. In the upcoming module, we are going to discuss about how to train these data set created in our project. So let's see you in the upcoming module. Welcome everyone to the second module. In the first module, we have created data set for our project face recognition using the SQLite database. In today's class, we are going to discuss about how to train this dataset with the new Python file, that will be the trainer.python. So you have to create a new Python file. So the name will be trainer.python. After that, we are going to import the packages. First, we are going to import the first will be the OS. We are going to import the OS, and then we are going to import the CV2 package. So OS is nothing but we are going to read and write the file, and then CV2 is nothing but opening the camera and closing the camera. And then we are going to import the NumPy package. So NumPy is nothing but array. And then we are going to import the fourth package, that will be the PIL from image. From PIL import image. So this PIL package is used for running our image file, for opening and reading the image file. For that only we are using the PIL package. After installing and importing these packages, we are going to use the recognizer. You have to type this variable recognizer equal to cv2 dot face dot lpbh face recognizer. So this will be the function which will be used to detect our faces. So you have to remember that LPBH face recognizer. It is an CV2 package which recognize our faces. For that only we have used this package for our training the data set. So 7th line is nothing but we are using the LPBH face recognizer to recognize our trained faces. And then we are going to set the path of the data set for training. For that you have to type path equal to and then dataset folder. So this will be the path used for training the dataset. So this path contains all the dataset we have created. So that's why we have used the path as dataset. And then we are going to create a function called get images with ID, and the argument will be the path of the dataset. Inside the function you have to type images, that will be the variable path equal to images path, it will be the variable equal to os dot path join of path comma f will be the variable, and for f in os dot list directory of path. So we are just opening the images inside the dataset folder. So OS package is very useful for if you want to read and write the images or any files, you have to use the OS package. So we are just listing all the directories, all the images inside the dataset folder. So that will be saved in the images path variable. And then you have to type faces equal to array. We are using the faces as array. That will be the use of the numpy, and then we are using the same id as array. You have to type for loop, for, and then variable for iterating variable. The iterating variable will be single image path in image paths. So we are just iterating all the images inside the image path folder. And then you have to type face image equal to image dot open of single image path dot convert L. So this line is nothing but we are just iterating all the images one by one, and these images will be converted into grayscale images. That will be the colorful images will be converted into black and white images. So L stands for luminance. So luminance is nothing but increasing the brightness in the images. So that will be the meaning of the L. L is for luminance. So 14th line, so 16th line is nothing but we are just converting each images into black and white images. So that's why the iterating variable is single image path. It will be iterate each image one by one and convert these images into black and white. After that you have to type face np equal to, so this will be the variable for equal to np dot array face image. So we are using the face as array. So if contains 10 faces, its faces will be considered as array. For that only the 17th line shows that all the faces will be converted into array. And then it converts into the integer array. That's why u int 8. So that's the meaning of this line. We are converting each faces as array. Face image as array. After that you have to type id equal to int of os dot path split of single image path -1, that will be the last line up to last line, dot split of dot. All the images will be converted into integer. So the user1.jpg will be considered as an integer, and then user32.jpg will be considered as images, considered as int. So these all files will be converted into integer up to last. That will be the meaning of -1. At last we are going to convert these images into integer, and then you have to print this id, and then you have to type face dot append of. So we are going to append face np. So we are going to append the faces with np. That will be the array. Whatever images are converted into array, that will be appended to our already created array, and also we are going to append this id to our id array. So that's the meaning of these two lines. And then you have to type cv2.imShowOff to show our output with, inside that you can type anything. We are going to type the output as training and then face np. So face NP contains the images as array, and then CV2 dot wait key of how many times the training will be shown. The CV2 dot wait key of 10. That will be the delay time to show our training output. At last we are going to return these values to our function. So that will be np dot array of IDs comma faces. At last the variables IDs comma faces equal to, and then function name inside the argument. So this value will be stored in that function. And then we are going to use the recognizer dot train of faces comma ID. So we are going to train these faces and ID. Whatever faces we are created in the data set and whatever ID we are created in the data set, that will be trained. And then you have to type recognizer dot save of, and then you have to create the folder, and then you have to create a folder for the recognizer. Inside the recognizer, your trained YML file will be saved. So you have to create a recognizer folder, and then you have to type this folder inside this quotation. So you have to type recognizer slash and then name of the YML file. The name can be your own choice, training data.yml. So this YML contains all the trained faces with their ID. Destroy all windows. So that will be closing all the files when the training is completed. So in the upcoming class, we are going to discuss about how to run this project in the PyCharm IDE. So let's see in the next class. In today's class, we are going to discuss about how to run this training Python file to train our dataset created in the dataset folder. For that, you have to right click. So in the output, you can see that your faces trained along with their ID. So we have successfully trained our files created in the dataset folder. So this will be the completion of our project up to 70%. So in the recognizer folder, you can see the file trained. That will be the YML file. So you have to open that file. In that you can see all the faces trained in your Python will be shown. So we can see the coordinates. So you can see lot of lines for training this Python file. So you can also see the threshold, radius, neighbor, grid X, grid Y, and histograms, rows, columns, and datas. Inside the datas, you can see the coordinates of your faces trained in the web camera. So in the output, you can see 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. So these 3 is nothing but in the previous class, we have created the ID 3. So that will be the trained data. So in the dataset folder, you can see the user.3.1.jpg. These 3 is shown in the output. So that's the meaning of this output. So we are just train the faces along with their ID. So that will be convenient. So if you use the web camera to detect the faces, it automatically checks the faces along with their ID. And then you can use the SQL database to show all the details required for this face. That's why we are trained this ID along with their faces. So that's it. In today's class, we have completed how to train the dataset file along with their SQLite database. So in the second module, we have first imported what are all the packages required for our project, and then we have used the LPBH face recognizer for detecting and recognizing the faces, and then we are setting the path of the data set. So inside the data set, all the files will be saved, and then we are using the functions, and then we have created a function. Inside the function, we are setting the path of the images, and then we have created the faces array and the ID array, and then we are iterated each arrays and then converted each image into black and white color, and then we are converted each faces into array. At last, we are appended these faces into the faces array. At last, we have created the recognizer YML file. So inside the recognizer YML file, all the faces trained in the Python will be saved. In the third module, we are going to see about how to detect and recognize our faces along with the SQLite database. So let's see on the third module. Welcome everyone to the third module. In the first module, we have created the dataset. In the second module, we have trained this dataset. In today's class, we are going to create a new Python file called detector.python. So it will be used as to detect and recognize the faces for our project face recognition using SQLite database. So let's start our project. First, we are going to import what are all the packages required for our project. So first one will be the CV2 package, and then we are going to import that numpy package as np. So numpy is nothing but array, and then we are going to import the package that will be the OS for reading and writing the file, and then we are going to import the package SQLite for the database. So that's it. So these 4 packages must be installed, and then we are going to import these packages for our project. So let's start the coding. First, we are going to detect the faces. For that, you have to type this variable face detect equal to, and then we are using the CV2 package, and then we are using the cascade classifier for detecting the faces. Inside that, you have to use the XML file we are downloaded from the GitHub. First line is nothing but we are using the CV2 package to detect our faces using the XML file. So after that, you have to type this command. We are going to open the camera. For that, you have to type cam equal to cv2 dot video capture of. So we are going to capture our video. Inside the bracket, you have to type 0. So 0 is nothing but web camera. We are using the web camera to detect our faces. So after that, you have to type recognizer. We are going to recognize our faces. So recognizer equal to cv2 dot face dot lpbh face recognizer. So this is the package which will be used for recognizing the faces. So we are calling this function lpbh face recognizer hyphen create of. So in the previous module, we are also used the lpbh face recognizer. So this also will be used on the detecting Python file. After that, you have to type recognizer dot read of. So we are going to read the trained file we have created in the previous module. That will be the training data.yml file. Inside the training data YML file, all the files which are trained, that will be stored in that YML file. For that only we are using this YML file. So we are going to read that YML file inside the recognizer folder. So after that, you have to type. So after that, we are going to create a function called get profile ID. So in the ID will be the argument. So we are going to type the coding for our SQLite database. First, we are going to connect our database. For that, connect equal to SQLite dot connect of the database name. So the database will be SQLite.db. So in that database, we have created the table students. Also, we have insert the arguments ID, name and age. After that, we are going to execute this command. For that, we are using the cursor. So cursor is used for executing the SQLite command. So you have to type connect.execute of. Inside that, you have to type the SQL statement. That will be the select star from. We are going to select all the values created in the students, where ID equal to user defined. So that's why we are typing the question mark. Question mark is nothing but user defined. So inside the bracket, you have to type the parameters, that is ID. So that's the meaning of the 15th line. We are going to execute the select command. And then we are going to type profile equal to none. First, we are assuming that there will be no profile created in our SQLite database. That's why we are using that profile equal to none. And then you have to use the for loop, and the iterate variable will be row in cursor. And then you have to change the profile equal to 1. We are going to iterate each and every values created in the table. If there are any values created already exist, that will be changed the profile equal to 1. So it will be the same as in the data set created. First, we are assuming there will be no profile, and also we are checking whether there are any profile available in our SQLite database. If there are any exist, it will be considered as row. And then we are going to close the connection. For that, you have to type connection.close off. And then you have to type return. We are going to return the values. The value will be the profile. If any profile is created, it will be returned. First, we have imported the packages, and then we are using the hair cascade classifier to detect the faces. For that, we are using the XML file, and then we are using the camera to capture our faces with the web camera. That will be the 0. After that, we are using the recognizer called the function called LPBH face recognizer. So it will be used to recognize our faces. And then we are using the training data YML file, which will be created in the previous module, which contains all the trained data. So for that, we are going to use that file. After that, we have created the SQLite database, and then we are executing the select command, and then we are assuming there will be no record. If there are any record exist, we are returning that record. So that's it. In upcoming class, we are going to continue our project. Let's start continuing our project. We are going to type inside the while, you have to type the Boolean function, that is true. So you have to type true. Inside the while loop, we are going to type two variables, return and image, equal to camera dot read off. We are going to read the camera, that is opening the camera. And then you have to type gray equal to cv2 dot cvt color of. Inside that, you have to type the image variable, and then you have to type cv2 dot and then color. The color will be black and white. For that, you have to type bgr2 gray. So in the 24th line is nothing but we are converting the each colorful images into gray color, that is black and white. After that, you have to type faces equal to face detect dot detect multiscale. So we are using the scaling function for detecting the faces. Inside that, you have to type the color and then scale factor. Scale factor will be 1.3 and the min neighbors will be 5. So 25 line is nothing but we are using the scaling function. After that, you have to type for. So we are using the 4 variables again, that will be x, y, width and height. So in in the faces. So if the faces are detected, we are using the CV2 function with RE rectangle. So we are using the rectangle function to show the images, and then you have to type x comma y comma x comma y and comma x plus w, that is width, and comma y plus height, that is h, and comma inside the bracket you have to type the color. The color will be green. For green you have to type 0 comma 255 comma 0. So this shows the color of the rectangle. Rectangle will be green color to detect our faces. ID comma confidence equal to recognizer dot predict of gray. Inside the square bracket you have to type y is to y plus h and comma x is to x plus w. So we are going to predict the images. So that's the meaning of this command. So we are using the trained YML file and predicting what will be the values displayed in the output. So we are using the confidence score. Also we are using the function predict. So we are just predicting the images, that is recognizing the images. And then profile equal to get profile of. If the values are predicted, and then we are going to display their details. That will be the meaning of the 29th line. If the values are predicted, we are going to display their profile, that is ID, name and age. And then you have to type print of profile. So we are going to print their profile. If profile not equal to none, so if the profile is not equal to null, we are going to type cv2 dot put text of image comma. Inside that we are going to type the arguments. The first will be the name. So first will be the name, and then you have to put the, and then you have to type plus string. Inside the string the profile of 1 comma. Inside the bracket you have to type the x and y position plus h plus 20, and then font. So what will be the font displayed in the output? So we are using the font here, C complex. So this will be the font. You can type any font, and then comma 1, and the font scale will be 1, and comma inside the bracket you have to type 0 comma 255 comma 127. So this will be the color and thickness. The thickness is 2. So 32 line is nothing but we are going to display the names of the predicted image. So if the image is predicted and recognized, we are going to type their name in the output. So that's why we are using this code. And the font and the thickness and the color, you have to copy this and paste again. For the age, we are going to display their ages also. So that's the second argument we have created. First we are displaying the name, and then we are displaying their age. So that's the project of our SQLite. So we also changes the profile. The profile will be 2, and also you have to change the x and y. So 45, and then you don't have to change the other values. So that's it. We are displaying the ages when the faces are predicted. After that, you have to type cv2.imso in the display of the output, we are going to show faces or face, anything you want, img. So we are going to show the faces. If cv2 dot weight key of 1 equal to alphabet Q, if the user clicks the alphabet Q, it will be exit the output. So that's the meaning of the 37th line. If the user clicks the Q, it will be break. So we have completed almost. So after that, we are going to release the camera. And then we are going to close all the windows. For that, you have to type destroy all windows. That's it. We have completed our project. So in the upcoming class, we are going to see about the output of this file. Welcome everyone. We are going to complete our face recognition project using the SQLite database. In the last class, we have typed the coding for our detection Python. In today's class, we are going to see the output of this Python file. For that, you have to right click and then select run detect Python. So in the output, you can see your faces is detected along with their SQLite database values. That will be the name and ages. The name will be your created SQLite value, that is Ajay, and the age will be 22. So these are all the user defined values we have created in the first module. So that's the completion of our project. Our project is completed 100% successfully. So you can see our project is finished. So in the output, you can see the 3, Ajay and 22. So this will be the arguments we have created in our function. The 3 will be the ID and Ajay will be the name and 22 will be the age. So in the detection.python file, we are just importing the packages and then we are using the XML file for detecting the faces, and then we are using the video camera to capture our faces, and then we are using the LPBH face recognizer to recognize our face, and then we are using the YAML file trained using the data set. After that, we have created the SQLite database. We are first connected and then we are executing the files using the cursor, and then we are setting the profile as none if there are no records are available, and then we are setting the if any records are available, it will be displayed. At last, we have created the coding for our face detection and recognition. First, we are opening our camera and then we are converting each faces into grayscale, that is black and white, and then we are using the scaling function for our faces. After that, we are using the for loop with the 4 variables x and y, wh. We are creating the rectangle, green color rectangle, and then we are predicting our faces using the recognizer, and then we are getting the profile for the recognized face, and then we are printing the recognized face. At last, we are printing the values stored in the SQLite database. That will be the name and the age. In the last line of the code, we are just showing our faces. If the user clicks the variable Q, it will be disclosed. And then we are closing all the windows. So that's it. So this is the code for our detection.python. In the output, you can see our face is recognized 100% correctly. So you have to use the real-time face dataset only. You don't have to use the old faces. So because the prediction will be inaccurate. For that only you have to use the real-time face dataset to train your faces and detect and recognize your face correctly. So that's it everyone. We have completed our project successfully. If you like my project, show an appreciation in the review section. Hope I can see you in the upcoming courses taught by me.